My mother's favorite word for me was sensitive. She'd say it with a sigh, a gentle, pitying look in her eyes. "Oh, Eleanor, don't be so sensitive." It was her answer for everything. For the tears I shed when my goldfish died. For the flinch I couldn't hide when my father raised his voice. And most of all, for the way I reacted to my older brother, Toby. The word wasn't a comfort. It was a dismissal. It was a wall she built between my feelings and her reality, a way to tell me that my pain was my own fault, a product of a flawed, overreacting heart. Can you remember a sound that defined your childhood? For me, it wasn't laughter or music. It was the heavy, rhythmic thump, thump, thump of a basketball against the side of the garage, right below my bedroom window. That was Toby's sound. He was 2 years older, all coiled energy and easy charm, the golden boy who could do no wrong in my mother's eyes. My father had left when I was 7, a quiet escape in the night, and my mother poured all her remaining love and expectation into Toby. I was just the quiet, sensitive girl in the background. The conflict was never about big, dramatic things. It was a death by 1,000 paper cuts. It was him borrowing my favorite books and returning them with cracked spines and pages dog-eared. It was him telling my mother I'd spilled the juice when it was him, watching silently as I was scolded for my clumsiness. It was him using my toothbrush to clean his sneakers, a secret he whispered to me with a grin that wasn't a smile at all. I would run to my mother, my small voice trembling with injustice. "Mom, Toby." And she would cut me off, never looking up from her magazine. "Eleanor, he's just teasing. Don't be so sensitive. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys." The 3 most dangerous words in the English language. They gave him a license for everything. The dynamic crystallized one rainy afternoon when I was 12. I had spent weeks saving my allowance to buy a porcelain music box, a beautiful, fragile thing with a spinning ballerina inside. It was my treasure. I came home from school to find Toby and his friend in my room. The music box was in pieces on the floor, the ballerina snapped at the waist. They were using the fragments as hockey pucks. The scream that tore from my throat was raw, primal. I launched myself at Toby, small fists pounding against his back. He just laughed, easily holding me off. My mother came running. "She's gone crazy, Mom," Toby said, his face a perfect mask of innocence. "I just bumped her desk by accident and it fell. She just started attacking me." I was sobbing, incoherent, pointing at the shattered pieces. "He did it on purpose. He did." My mother looked from my hysterical face to Toby's calm, lying one. She sighed that same, tired sigh. "Eleanor, for heaven's sake. It was an accident. Look at you, you're hysterical. You're too sensitive. It's just a trinket." She put her arm around Toby and led him out of my room, leaving me kneeling in the wreckage of my trust. That was the moment I learned a brutal truth: in our family, there was no justice. There was only my sensitivity, and Toby's immunity. Years passed, the small cruelties evolved. In high school, he accidentally deleted a semester's worth of my essays from the computer. He started rumors that I was unstable, that I made things up for attention. He stole the first boy I ever had a crush on, not because he liked the girl, but because he could. Each time, my mother's refrain was the same. "Eleanor, you have to be stronger. The world won't coddle you. You're too sensitive." I learned to build walls. I stopped telling her things. I became quiet, observant, a ghost in my own home. I spent my time in the library, lost in worlds where right and wrong were clear, where heroes fought dragons and won. My sensitivity, the thing she scorned, became my greatest asset. I learned to read micro-expressions, to hear the lie in a too quick laugh, to feel the shift in the air before a storm. I became an expert in the language of my family's dysfunction. The real fracture, the one that would never heal, happened the summer I turned 17. I had a scholarship to a prestigious summer art program. It was my ticket out, my chance to be around people who saw the world in color and shade, not in black and white lies. The acceptance letter was my most prized possession. 2 days before I was due to leave, I came home to find my mother sitting at the kitchen table, her face grim. Toby was leaning against the counter, trying to look somber. "Eleanor," my mother began, her voice heavy with faux regret. "There's been a change of plans. We can't afford that art program." My heart plummeted. "What?" "But it's a scholarship. We only have to pay for supplies and a small boarding fee. We talked about this. You said yes." "Things are tighter than we thought," she said, not meeting my eyes. "Toby football camp, it's crucial for his recruitment. The university scouts will be there. This is his future." I looked at Toby. I saw it then, the faintest flicker of a smirk in his eyes before he mastered his concerned expression. He had done this. He had convinced her. His future was tangible, a potential career. My future was just a sensitive girl's hobby. "No," I whispered, my voice breaking. "No, please." "Eleanor, don't make a scene," my mother said, her voice hardening. "Be practical. Be an adult. This is what's best for the family." I didn't cry. I didn't scream. The pain was too deep for that. It was a cold, silent severing. I looked at my mother, this woman who had always chosen him, and I felt nothing. The love I had for her, strained and fragile as it was, finally snapped. I turned and walked out of the room. I didn't speak to either of them for a week. I went to my dead-end summer job, I came home, I went to my room. I was a ghost preparing to fully leave its haunt. I left for college a year later and never really looked back. I built a life for myself as a graphic designer, a quiet, orderly life far from the chaos of my childhood. My contact with my family was minimal, obligatory birthday calls, strained holiday visits where the same old patterns played out like a worn-out record. My mother's mantra had evolved. Now it was, "Eleanor, you've become so distant. You hold on to things. You need to let the past go." She never understood that the past wasn't something I held, it was something that lived inside me, a fossil of every injustice. The diagnosis of my mother's cancer was sudden. Stage 4. It was a brutal, swift decline. In her final months, a strange thing happened. Toby, the golden boy, was nowhere to be found. He was too busy with his new job, his new fiancée. The burden of care fell to me. I moved back into the stale, silent house, the scene of all my childhood crimes. And in that house, my mother, weakened and stripped of her defenses, began to talk. She was haunted by regrets, but they were the wrong ones. She regretted not traveling more, not buying the nicer china. She never mentioned my shattered music box, my stolen scholarship, my broken heart. One afternoon, she was particularly lucid. She held my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. "Eleanor," she whispered, her voice raspy. "You have to promise me something. You have to look after Toby. He's not as strong as you are. He needs you. Promise me you'll take care of your brother." The old, familiar anger, cold and sharp, rose in my throat. Even on her deathbed, her final wish was for him. I looked at her, this woman who had failed me in 1,000 small ways, and I felt a terrifying clarity. I would not promise. I could not. But I also knew this was my last chance. My last opportunity to force the truth into the light. I will, Mom, I lied, my voice smooth as glass. But I need to understand. I need to hear it from him. I need to know why he did the things he did. For my own peace. So I can truly let it go. She looked at me, her eyes cloudy with medication and fear. She nodded slowly, patting my hand. Yes, dear. That's a good idea. You should talk to him. It wasn't a good idea. It was a trap. Toby came over that evening, reeking of expensive cologne and impatience. He barely glanced at our mother, who was sleeping fitfully in the next room. I led him into the kitchen, the site of so many past betrayals. What's this about, Eleanor? I'm busy, he said, pouring himself a glass of our mother's good whiskey. I had placed my phone on the counter, partially hidden by a fruit bowl. The voice memo app was open, a single red circle glowing on the screen. My heart was a wild drum in my chest, but my hands were steady. I need closure, Toby, I began, forcing my voice to sound small and wounded, playing the part he and my mother always expected of me. Before Mom goes. I need to understand. Why did you always hate me so much? He snorted, taking a sip of whiskey. Hate you? Don't be so dramatic, Eleanor. I didn't hate you. I just didn't care. The casual cruelty of it was a fresh wound. You broke my music box. You stole my scholarship. You told everyone I was a liar. He leaned against the counter, a familiar, smug smile playing on his lips. It was the same smile from when we were children. He was enjoying this. The music box was fun. You should have seen your face. He chuckled. And the scholarship? Come on. Mom was never going to waste money on your little art project. It was easy. I just told her I needed the cash for a leadership seminar. She practically wrote the check herself. He took another sip, warming to his topic. And as for you being a liar, it was the easiest way to make sure no one ever believed you. You were always so emotional. So sensitive. It made you an easy target. He spoke for 10 minutes. He laid it all bare, not with malice, but with a chilling nonchalance. He confessed to things I had forgotten, things I had never even suspected. He talked about the joy he felt in having power over me, in knowing that our mother would always take his side. It was a confession of a lifetime of psychological bullying, delivered with the casual air of someone discussing the weather. And the entire time, the red circle on my phone glowed, a silent witness, capturing every damning word. When he was done, he finished his whiskey and clapped me on the shoulder. There. Feel better? Now you can let it go, or whatever it is you sensitive types need to do. He left without saying goodbye to our sleeping mother. I stood alone in the kitchen, the silence broken only by the hum of the refrigerator and the digital recording stored on my phone. I had it. The undeniable, irrefutable truth. My mother died a week later. The funeral was a small, somber affair. Toby played the part of the grieving son perfectly, giving a eulogy full of generic platitudes about what a wonderful mother she was. I sat in the front row, dry-eyed, my phone a heavy weight in my clutch purse. After the eulogy, the funeral director asked if anyone else would like to speak. I stood up. A murmur went through the small crowd. I walked to the podium, my legs feeling like they belonged to someone else. I looked out at the faces of aunts, uncles, family friends who had always seen me as the difficult, sensitive one. I saw Toby, a question in his eyes. I didn't have a speech prepared. I simply placed my phone on the podium and connected it to the small sound system the funeral home had set up for music. My mother had one dying wish, I began, my voice clear and calm, carrying through the silent chapel. She asked me to take care of my brother, Toby. She said he wasn't as strong as I was. I saw Toby shift uncomfortably. But before I could make that promise, I continued, I needed to understand our past. I needed to know why our childhood was the way it was. So I asked him. And he was kind enough to explain it to me. I thought, since we're all here to remember my mother, you should understand the family she left behind. I saw the panic dawn in Toby's eyes. He started to stand up. Eleanor, don't. I pressed play. His voice, slick with arrogance and whiskey, filled the sacred, quiet space. Hate you? Don't be so dramatic, Eleanor. I didn't hate you. I just didn't care. The music box was fun. You should have seen your face. Mom was never going to waste money on your little art project. You were always so emotional. So sensitive. It made you an easy target. The recording played for its full, brutal 10 minutes. You could have heard a pin drop in that chapel. I watched the faces in the crowd transform from confusion to shock, to horror, to disgust. I saw my aunts put their hands over their mouths. I saw my uncle glare at Toby with pure contempt. Toby looked like a trapped animal, his face pale, his hands clenched into fists. He was being exposed, not just as a bully, but as a liar and a fraud, in the one place where image was everything. When the recording ended, the silence was heavier than any I had ever known. I picked up my phone. My mother spent her life telling me I was too sensitive, I said into the microphone, my voice finally trembling with the emotion I had held back for decades. She told me my feelings were my own fault. Today, you all heard the truth. The problem was never my sensitivity. The problem was their cruelty, and her refusal to see it. I looked directly at Toby. You don't need me to take care of you. You never did. You just needed someone to victimize. That ends now. I stepped away from the podium and walked straight down the center aisle and out of the funeral home. I didn't look back. I got into my car and drove away, leaving the wreckage of our family's lies behind me. The fallout was immediate and absolute. The family, finally seeing the truth, turned their backs on Toby. His fiancée left him. He became a pariah. He tried to call me, to rage, to plead, but I had blocked his number. I sold my mother's house, divided the money as was legally required, and severed all ties. I used my half to start my own design firm, a place built on creativity and truth, not dismissal and lies. People might think what I did was cruel. Playing that recording at her funeral. But it was the only place where the truth could finally be heard. It was the only cord I had. My mother built her life on a foundation of willful blindness. I just brought the house down. I am still sensitive. I feel things deeply. I cry at sad movies. I get angry at injustice. But I am no longer ashamed of it. My sensitivity is my compass. It tells me what is right and what is wrong. It told me to fight back. My mother's legacy wasn't a lesson in strength through hardness. It was a lesson in the devastating cost of choosing comfort over truth. She and my brother taught me that sometimes, the only way to stop the cycle of pain is to create a confrontation so loud, it silences the lies forever. And in the quiet, peaceful life I've built for myself, a life where my feelings are valid and my truth is heard, I am the one who finally, and forever, got the last word.